You go.
Welcome to second, oh, sorry. People are still coming in. Okay, are we good, Mrs. Way? Think we're good with the waiting room? Okay, welcome to second grade's open house. I'm Betsy Boone. It's great to see all of you. We're glad you're here, and we have some great tips and suggestions for you this evening for an optimal learning environment and some traditional school expectations that will help ease the tradition when we eventually return face-to-face instruction at Morningside. And while these aren't requirements, we do believe that they'll improve your child's overall learning experience. Thanks for your support. Thanks for coming out tonight. Ms. Way, could you slide to the next slide for me, please? And parents, that's actually what I just read, so I'm not going to read it to you again. Okay, we're going to start with a fun icebreaker game. This is something that we actually do with our kids in school, so you guys get to be the students tonight. It's called That's Me. It's a great get-to-know-you activity. It's a fun way for all the students and the teachers to learn a little bit more about each other. So here's how we play. I'm going to read a few statements. You, the students, will unmute yourself and you're going to exclaim, "That's me!" Jazz hands optional if the statement applies to you. Okay, so I'll practice. I'll show you exactly how it is. So if I said, "You're a second grade teacher," you would unmute and say, "That's me!" And then you immediately mute yourself again. Okay, here we go. Humor me. We're just gonna play for a minute. Who has only one child?
That's me.
All right.
That's me.
Thank you for playing. Who has more than one child at Morningside Elementary?
That's me.
It's me.
Yes, great. Okay, there need to be a lot of voices for this one. I know it's true. Who has twins in second grade?
Woohoo!
That's me.
All right, who is new to Morningside this year? Anybody? There's got to be somebody. Okay, maybe they're not here yet, but okay. Who has a second grader that's excited to be back in school?
That's me.
I love your enthusiasm. And last question, let's make it a good one. Who is excited that their child is back in school? Great job. Thank you for humoring me. Thank you for playing along. That's just a little like snippet of what we do with your students, your children. Next, we'll be hearing from Miss Kelly Phillips about our daily schedule.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. So this is our current daily schedule that we have been doing for the past 2 weeks. So we start at 8 a.m. From 8 a.m. to 8:15, that's our morning meeting time. So our welcome, our greeting time, and also when we watch our morning announcements. And then from 8:45 to 8:15, that is our science or social studies time. We never teach them at the same time. We're always teaching either one or the other. And currently we are teaching social studies. So that is what we are doing during that time. From 8:45 to 9:15, the students go to their specials, so art, music, or PE class. From 9:15 to 9:30 is when we teach our math mini lesson. And then from 9:30 to 10:15 is when the students get the chance to practice their math independently. From 10:15 to 10:45, that is our great time. So during that time, if your child is in GATE or if your child has some sort of intervention class, that is when they leave to go to those teachers. From 10:45 to 11:15, as I'm sure you all know, is our school-wide lunch / recess / take a break time. When they come back from that, we do SEL, which is social emotional learning, until 11:30. From 11:30 to 11:55, we work on our phonics. After that, from 11:55 to 12:20 is our reading time. At that point, we take a 10-minute brain break. We might do a go noodle or have the students stand up and stretch, just take a little break from their learning on their devices. From 12:30 to 12:50, we teach grammar or writing. And then at the very end of the day, from 12:50 to 1 o'clock, we have a student check-in time to where we can talk to our students about our day or see if they have any questions about anything. And then after that, from 1:15 to 1:30, we will have our open office hours on Monday and Wednesdays. That will be for students to ask any questions they may have about anything, or if they need help with something. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we are going to allocate that time for parents. So if you have any questions about anything for us, that is when you can get on our Zoom calls and ask us questions. And then finally, from 1:30 to 2 p.m., that will be our time to pull small groups.
Miss Phillips, can I butt in for a moment? I got so carried away with the That's Me game and so excited by the participation. I forgot to say that Mrs. Way is moderating our chat. If you have a question, you can type in a question and she'll answer it. Thanks.
And now Miss Daniels is going to talk about the attendance policy.
Greetings all. We are so excited to have you today. Thank you so much for attending, which is perfect with this next slide, which is attendance. Attendance is so important. It was important during our regular school year, but definitely during virtual, as we are working so hard to ensure that the kids have a great time with us, but also master those skills for second grade. We do want them and wish and desire for them to attend our Zoom sessions each day. They are live. We have the meat of the lesson at the beginning, and then we're also giving them the opportunity to work independently and allowing them opportunity to come and get help from us during those times. So those live sessions are very, very important, and we would love for you to encourage your kiddos to come. In the event that your child does feel ill, just please, of course, let us know. Also continue to reach out to Miss Stacy Bello to let her know that your child will be absent for that day. And just her email is there for you to reach out to her if you need to. Next will be Miss Hamilton. She is going to discuss the materials and supplies to help your kiddos stay organized and prepared.
Hi, I'm Miss Hamilton. Welcome. This is a list of the supplies that we gave to you guys at the beginning of the school year. So I'm just going to talk through what we're doing with each of the supplies just to kind of answer some of the questions that you guys might have about what your child should and shouldn't have on each day when they arrive to our virtual learning space. So one of the things that we asked for them to have was for 3 composition notebooks. And if you could have them have this journal each day, all 3 of these journals, and help your child label these journals, we have the following titles set up just so your child's able to grab them when we're doing our lessons, because we're going to be writing and adding things to them throughout the day as we're learning. So we have 3 composition notebooks. One will be used for phonics. We'll be putting things in there like our phonics rules. We'll be adding examples of the words that follow the rules, and practicing marking up some of those words. We then asked for them to have an ELA. Oh, can you go back? So we've asked for them to have an ELA reading and writing one. Once we get back to the slide, I'll talk a little bit more about that one. Thank you. So for the ELA, the reading and the writing, so they'll be doing things like, we worked on writing a friendly letter a little bit this week. ELA, we're doing things with nouns. And then we also asked for a math, science, and social studies for things like our number talks or anything related to the science or social studies subjects. We also asked for some folders. So we asked for 2 3-pronged folders. Your child might want to use one of these folders to keep their passwords, QR codes, anything that's important for them that they need each day when they come, just so they have somewhere to reference and they know where to go to get this information. And then we also asked for one more folder where their dolphin, their math kits can be, and these look like place value. I have some examples on the next slide exactly what these maps I'm talking about look like, but their math work mats could stay in there, and that would be an easy way for them to have those ready in their workspace. These mats were included in the dolphin toolkits. Okay, we also are asking for your child to have their math journal available. So it's kind of strange in 2nd grade. We actually start with volume 2 and then we'll go back to volume 1. So if you're trying to figure out which of the journals was volume 1 versus volume 2, it's actually down in blue underneath where it says Envision Math. So that's where you can look to see that it's volume 2. So for now, you're going to be sending or giving your child their volume 2 math journal, and then we'll move back to volume 1 and we'll let you know. But again, that came in the Dolphin toolkits. So these were the math work mats as well as the manipulative. So there are things like place value. There was a 10 frame. There were some little counters, some base 10 blocks. And if your kid can just bring the bag of manipulative each day, that would be super helpful. We also asked for index cards. So one of the reasons we ask for index cards is so we continue to practice our trick words each day when it comes to foundations. So throughout the week, they'll be adding their trick words to these index cards. And then we also ask for an index card holder just to help your child stay organized and keep track of their trick words throughout the year. We also ask for a few other supplies, and those will just be used for various activities throughout the school year. So we ask for a pencil sharpener as well as some pencils, glue sticks, scissors, crayons, and then a toolbox so that your child has a place to keep it all nice and neat. We also just provided a quick learning area example. So this just shows you it's helpful if you have multiple kids working in the same space, having some type of divider so they're not as easily distracted, but also having a bin where they can keep items so that they can find their resources really quickly and easily. So now we're going to move to Miss Khalili, who's going to take over.
Hello, everyone. We're so happy to see you. We want to instill in our children a sense of rituals and routines, and that starts with following some rules that we have in the classroom that we are going to kind of translate into the virtual world. And the first tip is we would love for children to attend their Zoom sessions and arrive a little bit early so they can be ready to learn. We start our day at 8 o'clock. When it's possible, the child should be in a designated workspace where they are comfortable and they have less distractions around them. They should also come dressed wearing appropriate clothing. We have seen some fun, interesting pajamas and costumes, and we love to see it, but it's just not for the school day. So if we could have them what they would normally wear for school, that would be awesome. They should also be in an environment that is free from distractions. I know it is very hard when they have their dogs and they're in their room and they have stuffed animals everywhere, but we kind of want them to get behind the screen, focus in, and not have so many distractions. They should come with all supplies and be ready to learn when the beginning of the day starts. Your child should avoid eating meals or snacks during instructional time. We, as a second grade team, have designed to include multiple breaks for snack, bathrooms, brain breaks, and meals. They should stay in one place during the instructional day and avoid from walking around. That also really helps with like the internet and the connection, because sometimes when they're just walking around, they might lose their connection and get kicked out of Zoom. Another tip that we have, that children should have their devices charged, their cameras turned on, and their audios muted during instructional time. And the teacher will inform the students when they can unmute their audio. And lastly, we do recommend that children avoid using virtual backgrounds on Zoom. It kind of distracts from the other kids sometimes. And we also recommend that when they log on using their names. So we will be able to easily identify which children is talking at what time. Now I will be introducing our veteran MES teacher, Miss Nordman.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to be here with everybody. And this is an overview of what we're going to be learning curriculum-wise as far as our subject areas throughout the school year. So in reading, we're going to be using programs such as Fountas and Pinnell, especially for our read aloud books that we share every day. The Kids A to Z or RAS Kids, AR, Get Epic, just to name some of the reading things that we'll be using. As far as our reading skills that we will be doing, we'll be doing things such as sequence of events. Right now we're working on author's message, inferring, predicting, comparing, contrasting, asking questions, and so on. I'm not going to read all of them to you, but we've got lots of fun things to do for reading this year. Now, a quick point about Accelerated Reader. Unfortunately, it is not currently up and running, but as soon as it is, we will notify you. Children will be given a quarterly points goal, and it is an expectation. It's part of our reading program. Also, the information that we gain from the STAR assessment will help us set the children's points goals, but we will let you know as soon as we're ready to get going with that. Here's a picture of the few of the apps that we will be using, such as the RAS Kids, which for some reason has multiple names. So if you happen to see Kids A to Z or Reading A to Z, it's also RAS Kids. And you can see a couple of different examples right there. Your username, the teacher username, if it hasn't already been provided, will be provided to you. And then the kids, if they have, because sometimes they have a password, sometimes they don't, but we'll notify you about that as well. Here are some more pictures of the other apps, such as Epic, Get Epic. If you haven't been notified about that, you will be soon. That's an excellent app that has a very large library of online books for the kids to read and enjoy. And then Renaissance is where the AR is located, and it's also where the STAR tests are located that we have started or will be starting the students taking very soon. And here is an example of an information page. If you have not received a copy of this whole letter, you've at least gotten the gist of it as far as the URL and the password and username information on how to get onto the Renaissance. And you can also, once we do start AR, you'll be able to monitor your child's AR performance on quizzes and what they've been reading and so on. And you will be using that to get onto the STAR tests. For writing this year, we're going to be doing some journal writing. We're also going to be doing some mechanical things such as writing a paragraph, going over the writing process. The genres that we'll focus on this year will be narrative, persuasive, informational, and response to literature. We'll also talk about writing complete sentences as far as starting with capital letters, ending with punctuation, and having a subject and predicate. In our writing, we'll talk about using transitional words and phrases, and we've already started on how to write a friendly letter. As far as English language arts, programs that we'll be using for that, Art Foundations, which your children had last year. We also call it phonics or spelling. They'll be getting some activities to do on Freckle and IXL. We'll be going over spelling rules such as syllable types, working on trick words, discussing subjects and predicates as far as sentences go, kinds of sentences, going over punctuation marks, subject and verb agreement. We've already started reviewing nouns. We'll also be talking about common and proper nouns, singular and plural, and so on. Verbs, we'll be reviewing verbs. We will also go over adjectives and adverbs, and synonyms, antonyms, and homophones. And to go on with the rest of our curriculum slides, we have Miss Kelly Phillips to talk about math, science, and social studies.
Thank you, Ms. Nordman. So this is a little bit about what we will be learning in math. The programs we use for math are Envision, Freckle, and IXL. So we will be learning numbers and patterns, place value, which is what we have started this week, money and time, multi-digit addition, subtraction strategies and operations, estimating, measurement, geometry, number stories. At the very end of the year, we will learn multiplication and division, and fractions and decimals. These are what the apps look like that we will be using for math. So we have our Savas Realize. They changed the name. That is actually Pearson Realize, which is the program that our math book comes from. We will use Freckle for apps in both reading and in math assignments. And then we will also be using IXL, which is a great program that lines up with our standards for extra math support. These are the things we will be learning in science. So we will use studies weeklies for our online program in science. We will learn earth science, such as patterns in the sky and changes to the environment. We will learn physical science, which will be states and changes of matter, physical science, energy, light, and motion and forces, and then life science, which will be the life cycles of plants and animals. And we have STEM Scopes as an app that we will use to support our science curriculum. For social studies, we will use Georgia Studies Weekly, which we have already started to use this week. We will learn about Georgia's past. So before there was a Georgia, Georgia beginnings, and the native people. We will learn Georgia places, the regions, rivers, and resources. This week, we've started learning about America's government and people and the branches of government. We will learn about historical figures and their contributions, such as Jackie Robinson, Martin Luther King Jr., Jimmy Carter, and Juliette Gordon Low. And then we will learn Georgia work at work and economics, which is scarcity, goods and services, and wants and needs. And like I mentioned, we'll be using Studies Weekly, which is what we have already begun using this week. And now Ms. Daniels will discuss our grading policy.
Sorry about that. I had to unmute myself. Okay. So if you have all had an opportunity to visit your child's My Backpack and their Google Classroom, there we will have assignments indicated with that green check mark that are the graded assignments for the week. This week, we do have some assignments that are check marked, but we're going to use those as participation as we use this week to expose the students to how to access Google Classroom and then also how to complete those assignments. Please be mindful that we want to encourage you all to allow the students to complete these assignments with their homeroom teacher. It's not a assignment that we encourage to be done independently, alone and away from the teacher. It's actually a live session. We want them to go out and do that independent practice so that we can look over their work and then also see how they're doing and gauge what further instruction we need to implement for them. We will be collecting a grade each week in each content area. And like I stated, if you can just check your child's Google Classroom each week By Monday morning, you will be able to see those check mark items to let you know which items we're going to look closely at for a grade. All right, so a lot of the assignments that we do administer to the students will be in several different forms. You may see a Google form assessment. We also may push out an assessment or an assignment through Freckle, as well as we spoke of Accelerator Reader, which is a program that will ask questions about stories ask questions for the stories that students have read. My coworker also mentioned the Studies Weekly, and then we have Raz Kids questions that will follow. Starting next week, we will be administering STAR. We will be administering STAR Thursday and Friday of next week and the following week. You should have received a notification about that.
Carla, it's this week.
This week, sorry, thank you, my team. My team is amazing. I'm sorry. This week and next week, I apologize. And we will get those codes out to you very soon. They are the student ID number and their 6-digit birth dates. And now Ms. Hamilton will speak to you about the Google Classroom where you can find the assignments.
Okay, so I'm just going to show you some examples from your Google Classroom so you kind of know what your child's looking at if you haven't had an opportunity to check it out yourself. So we're going to be using it to post assignments as well. Can you just go back one real quick? Thank you. We're going to use it to post assignments and send them to your child, as well as activities or materials that might support them throughout the school week. You can access Google Classroom through My Backpack. You can also access it outside of My Backpack if you're using just a browser and going through Google. But if you do this, the thing that tends to be tricky is that you have to add @apsk12.org, and then you would use your child's computer password, which was that 5-digit lunch number. This is just an example of what your child's classroom would look like. They would not have every teacher. They would have their main teacher, and then they might have the school library, all of these specials teachers, but this just gives you an overview of what it looks like when they go into their Google Classroom. Once they get into their Google Classroom, they have a Stream tab, and this is an area where your teacher can make an announcement or communicate quickly with the students if they need to let them know something. From there, they can click on the Classwork tab. This is where your child will see the post of the assignments and the material that's being sent to your child. So I just wanted to give you an idea of kind of what some of these topics look like. So you might see schedules, reading, and we've tried to add some little pictures to kind of help your child easily navigate the classroom. We also have writing foundations will be listed in there, as well as science, social studies, and SEL. If you go to the To-Do tab, that's where you can find a list of assignments that your child needs to complete. So if you were looking for this week, you might see the social studies assignment as well as a reading assignment. You can also sign up for a guardian in your child's classroom. We've noticed that some people have already been able to sign up. But if you have been able to sign up, the thing that you get from that is you would get an email summary that goes over any missing work, upcoming work, or class activities that might be posted by your teachers. So that's how you sign up. You get an email report, and that just kind of goes through those big 3 topics right there: the missing work, upcoming work, and class activities. Okay, one other way you can get email summaries if you haven't been able to sign up, it looks like there's kind of a mix of people that maybe signed up when their child joined the classroom, but your teacher can add you as a guardian if that's something that you're interested in, and then you're able to then accept the invitation. You have 120 days to accept the invitation if that's something you're wanting to receive. So now we're going to go back to Ms. Boone. And she's going to finish the meeting out for us.
I think I do that every time we come back after lunch. I apologize. I forgot to unmute and I just was talking away. Principal Sophianis will share a few notes with us about pods.
Thank you, and good evening, families. It's so great to see all of you. I know that as we are in a pandemic, and it is everyone is trying to make it work. So we understand that some of our students are in pods. We also understand that some of our students are not in pods. And so we've, talked with our Grady cluster principal, all taking a very similar approach to pods. As you can imagine, because all of our teachers and staff are getting many more emails, because the little meetings that we used to be able to have at school, even with each other, meetings with parents, all of that is happening virtually. So we're trying to really make sure that our teachers are able to really plan for their instruction, meet together as teams, communicate together as a staff, communicate with you as families, so critical. So we really ask that if you are a part of a pod, that that you all communicate with the pod person. That's someone that you've hired and selected and did that. If that is something that you have done, or it's a volunteer, or however that has happened, that the communication needed for your child come through you. So we are having some of our pod leaders that are, possibly trying to reach out, or some of them may even be using their child's chat feature. But we really ask that the communication come directly from your child so that we increase that self-sufficiency, or from you all. And that's really just to manage all of it. And again, we do understand the choice to do that or the choice not to do that, and we're supportive either way. But we are really asking that really Grady cluster-wide, that the communication come from the families and not the pod leaders. Also, these wonderful second grade teachers every Friday send out something to you, which is a preview for next week. And that would be a great thing for you to share if you have a volunteer or pod leader or someone else working with your child, just to give them a preview. So that's a wonderful thing that our second grade teachers are doing, and we think that will really help. But we really do ask this, parents. We know that it's really hard. We know that this is a tough situation, so we do understand why some of you have done that. But you do have 7 amazing teachers here who are working super hard to recreate the school day virtually. It takes a lot of planning, and we're sharing practices across the grades. We are trying to find time to meet also, and so we just want to have that high quality service, and that will really help us a lot if you all can do the communication directly with your pod folks, and so that our folks can meet directly and talk with you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Sofianis. Thank you so much to all of you for coming and joining us this evening. Please check the chat for the link to join your child's homeroom teacher Zoom question and answer session. The session will be 15 minutes. You can check the chat, give us 10 seconds to open up our own Zoom rooms, and we'll be there in a moment. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much. ¿Qué decía el chat?
Thank you. Thank you, Brian.
And Mrs. Way, is your class staying here? You're muted.
All right, parents, so I'm getting ready to end so I can get to my other Zoom meeting because I can't have 2 open at the same time. So we really appreciate you all coming. Thank you.